It's the Polish national champion, Adrian Kurek, who's enjoying a day out on home roads. Riding on stage 2 of the Tour of Poland to Katowice. 29-year-old, 80 kilos, big, strong, fast finisher. Fast enough to finish first at the Nationals last month. 57 seconds in front of a chasing peloton here, but a peloton that knows with 47 kilometers still to go, doesn't have to do too much work to bring him back. We're on the sunny streets of Katowice today in southern Poland. This is the capital of the Upper Silesia region. 5 million people live in Katowice. 150-year-old, this city. And it's the national Polish champion who's out there in the break. The only man left from a 4-man break that did include Kamil Gradek, Jonas Hintola, Martin Kaiser for the second successive day. But the only man who stuck it out, Adrian Kurek, who started the day 10 seconds behind the overall general classification lead of Peter Sagan. No surprise, Magnus Bäckstedt, that it's Orica Scott and Bora Hansgrohe who are chasing things down for Caleb Ewan. And this man, Peter Sagan, back in business yesterday.
Yeah, it certainly was back in business, and right at the very top end as well, which is good to see. I think it's probably more nice for him and the team to just see that he's certainly not lost the form that he came into the Tour de France with. If anything, I think he's actually going better right now. And it was a very good sprint that he did yesterday against Caleb Ewan, and just a perfect timing, a little bit of luck involved as well. But yeah, it was certainly a great finish. And I'm looking forward to today as well, seeing Peter Sagan against Caleb Ewan, because Caleb came very, very quickly from behind yesterday, and asked Peter got anything to respond with if Caleb gets the perfect lead up, because yesterday I think Caleb ended up in a position where he lost all his lead up men way too early. I think we saw Luka Meskec just getting. He ended up spending way too much time on the front, way too early, and effectively left Caleb on the wheel of another team with probably about 800-900 meters to go, and all of a sudden I think Caleb kind of lost a little bit of his confidence. He ended up needing a little bit more luck to be able to do his sprint the way he wants to do it. And looking at the way Caleb sprints, I think he needs to be launched at a very high speed, because his acceleration from high speed to top end is what really makes him so special.
It's funny, we saw it at the Giro d'Italia, didn't we? We were analysing, comparing Fernando Gaviria, very much a freestyler in the mould of Peter Sagan, able to change plan, change tactics, never short of a bit of confidence. Caleb Ewan, we're told, is a really good kid, works hard, but upstairs in the mental department, if things aren't going his way, he's a tendency to bang the bars too early, to give up too early, not to keep going.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone is different, and I think Orica Scott have done such a good job for a long period of time for him now, and consistently dropping him where he needs to be. And I think with that, you kind of switch off mentally a bit as well, and I think we've seen that with various different sprinters. And I want to say, even to an extent, what happened with Mark Cavendish when he left HGC, it took a bit of time before he actually ended up finding finding his team and getting his team to deliver him the way he wanted to be delivered. And with that, he lost that sort of feel for it and had to start looking around and opening up his mind a little bit more to various different options and possibilities. And I think that actually made him into a better sprinter now than potentially what he was before as well. Not necessarily in terms of outright speed, because, sorry Mark, you're also getting older. With that, we all slow down a little bit. But you know, I think it's served him quite good in the end. And I think someone like Peter Sagan, who never has had that perfect lead out, has always been dropped into a decent position, or even a good position, with a kilometer to go, or maybe even less at certain points if his team gets it perfectly right for him. And then he freelances his way to everything that he does. And it doesn't matter really whether it's an uphill sprint or whether it's a pan-flat sprint, he always has the same kind of setup. And I think that keeps his mind very open to changing tactics, and of course I think he's that type of rider as well, who he's just so aware of everything that goes on around him that he's able to react to everything. But yeah, I certainly enjoy watching the different types of sprinters. And if you go even further back, Mario Cipollini, for instance, even Alessandro Petacchi, both riders who were incredible in their own right, as long as they had the team dropping them off at the right point. And then we take Rob McEwen, complete freelancer the whole way through pretty much his whole career, I think. Again, another rider, a bit like Peter Sagan, who never expected a lead-out train to take him all the way. He always kept his mind open.
Last two you mentioned, Petacchi and McEwen, very talented commentators as well.
Yeah,
had a chance to listen to them in their respective languages and for their respective TV stations over the last couple of months at the Giro and then the Tour. Absolutely brilliant insight into the commentary boxes. We're heading through the Valley of the Three Ponds. You saw Adrian Kurek at the front there. Adrian Kurek, still in his 20s, national champion, still 49 seconds, and real slowdown behind everybody across the road. They don't want to catch this man yet.
No, it's too early to catch him, really, and it's one of those difficult points in the race for the bunch and even for the rider out front there, Kurek. He kind of knows that he's going to get caught, but he has to persevere with the effort, and the bunch is sort of having to slow down, and with that it's always difficult to keep position in there. You're having to, although mentally you kind of switch off because it's not hard, all of a sudden you've got to stay focused and stay up there and make sure that you always put your wheel in the right position, not to get sort of taken back into the bunch if another rider messes up a little bit. I always found these times really tricky to stay right on it and mentally sharp.
Well, there are three riders who are very mentally sharp early on. It happened just before we came to air, in fact, and we were very lucky just to get a little bit of a glimpse of what happened at the intermediate sprint. But Wout Poels winning a bonus second. Sprinting with him, Rafał Majka, a former winner of the Tour of Poland in 2014. And a man who, in that 2014 year, won the Tour de France. Vincenzo Nibali also going for it. Three guys who are expected to head forward. We think certainly in the case of Poels and Nibali, they're going to the Vuelta a España.
Yep.
Really good to see them active. I think the GC fight, when we get towards next weekend, is going to be absolutely enthralling. There's some big names here. Some
very big names here, and some big team lineups as well. And if we're looking at the Bahrain Merida team, they've pulled up all of the cards for this race and really have come with a strong team. So, like I said, it's going to be a very interesting week, I think, especially with all the stages being so short, apart from that one big one. And it's proper big, that.
And it is almost 240 kilometers, that long stage. The next is just under 200 Ks. The rest of them, 160 or less. Very, very interesting week in prospect. And, well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, the Tour de Pologne has been testing ground in the last few years, a little bit like the Tour of Britain, for smaller teams, for different types of stages. But they've really decided to do something different this year. 7-man teams, not quite the 6 men you get at the Tour of Britain, and of course not the 8 that you're going to have next year at the Grand Tours.
Yeah, no, in one way I actually like the idea of having 7-man teams. 6-man teams, it becomes very difficult to do any kind of controlling. 6-man teams means that it's possible to control the race to an extent, but it leaves the GC riders, or the should we call it the leader of the team of the day, fairly isolated fairly early. And I think it's going to be interesting to watch when we're coming into the harder stages in with the mountains to see what happens with this whole thing. I think with the 6-man teams, it's more like basically you can't control it on your own. You have to find allies within the bunch and try and work out some form of a collaboration to keep the control of the race in one way or another. Whereas this here now gives a team an opportunity to do so, as long as they're confident with their leader that he can finish it off, and even if he gets isolated quite early on. But it's just a really interesting view on the racing, basically.
A couple of navy blue jerseys there on the left-hand side. Navy actually more royal blue, isn't it? The Gazprom jerseys. Gazprom Rossfeller, who we last really saw at the Giro d'Italia, the Tour of Italy. They're leading the team classification here after stage 1, as we see Youssef Reguigui showing off his new jersey at the back. Brand new Algerian champion. We haven't seen that flag in the professional peloton for quite a while, so good to see Regigi back showing it off for Dimension Data. Dimension Data, another team we expect to be active. We saw it yesterday with Nathan Haas. None of their sprinters were really up there, but they've got a couple of decent sprinters to throw into the mix. Likes of Dougal and Sbaragli especially. Sbaragli, stage winner at the Vuelta a España.
Yeah.
Not a bad vantage point. It's a beautiful afternoon for it as well in southern Poland. We're in one of the many green, almost wilderness regions of Poland. It is one of the most beautiful countries I've ever visited, I have to say. You go to the north, the Lake District, down the south here in Silesia, just woods and forests after forest after forest.
I didn't have the best of times when I went to Poland, though, unfortunately. I ended up crashing out quite badly 2 days in a row, and ended up, yeah, it wasn't my favorite place to race a bike at the time. Gotta say, this is back in '98 though, so things have changed quite a lot. So it's certainly, yeah, in terms of vistas and everything, a beautiful place to go to.
And Poland is a country that's changed quite a lot as well. It's now one of Europe's top economies. It's said to have the best education system in the world as well. It certainly is a country that should be on your list. Now, action from the back. It's one of the Polish national team riders. Yesterday we saw Paweł Franczak out there in the sprint, in the top 10.
And this won't be confusing at all if he catches on to Kurek.
Well, Kurek in the national team jersey, which...
National champions jersey.
The national champions jersey, there you go. That actually has the national flag, and you can see on the left-hand side just the white upper part in the shape of the Polish national flag, the red bottom part. The national team jersey has a big red stripe down the centre, a little bit watching Ajax play soccer. 24 seconds then, and this gap is becoming bridgeable. Interesting to see this movement from behind.
Yeah, it's caused a bit of a reaction there straight away, and with this circuit being, like I said, fairly grippy, it's got enough drags on it. I think it's an opportunity for a smaller breakaway to work really well together and actually pull out a bit of an advantage here. So it's not like it's a pan flat street circuit where all the riders are going to bowl around and you're having to ride, you know, Mach 1 to actually get away from the bunch. It's somewhere where you can lean a bit on the pedals and actually use the strength that you have, not just the pure speed.
It's Paweł Bernas, who was actually in the break yesterday. Just under 40 kilometers to go. One of the riders who was chasing him, who's actually just been caught behind that little splinter group, has been brought straight in by the peloton. A big reaction from them. That was Manuele Boiro, who could be a very dangerous rider, the Italian time trialist, racing for Vincenzo Nibali. Paweł Bernas on the attack. Just ahead of him is his national champion Adrian Kurek. Two Polish riders out there. Just less than 40 kilometers to go. He should be able to see Kurek up the road. Only had 25 seconds the last time we looked. Coming towards the end of the first circuit. 3 circuits of 17 kilometers here. You can just see behind again. Things calm down in the peloton. The leader is Peter Sagan after stage 1. But there's some big GC names ready to take control towards the end of this week. 7 stages of racing at the Tour of Poland. This is one of the top division races in world cycling. It's a World Tour event. You can just see a few people looking around. Boiro on the right-hand side, the red jersey with the navy sleeves for Bahrain Merida. That's Vincenzo Nibali's team. Team Sky, remember, having some big names as well. Wout Poels, one of those here. Pucci's riding for them. They have the Polish rider Gołasz's Domestique. Danny Van Poppel is their sprinter. But it's Wout Poels and Diego Rosa, you'd imagine, go for GC for them this week.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I certainly would have thought so. And I think for Wout Poels as well, it's going to be a question of finding out where he is and how he's recovered from everything and how his training has been to... and also looking towards the latter part of the season. just finding getting that ticket of, yeah, I got a bit of form, and it's going to build up now, and I'm just going to get better and better.
Well, talking to Team Sky last week, in Paris, I was assured that he was on the list to go down to the Vuelta a España, and Diego Rosa as well.
Yeah, good team that they're pulling up there.
Chris Froome has announced this week that he will lead it. I'm waiting for that announcement from Alberto Contador. Will it be adios? Will it be the end?
Well, I think it all depends on the contract that he's currently talking about and negotiating, and if that's up to his satisfaction, I think he will continue. He's not had the greatest of years. It's been a lot of sort of minor issues all the time, and for some reason he never seems to be able to stay on the wheels in the Grand Tour. Every single year he hits the deck and ends up being compromised by that, and I think he wants one clear run at a Grand Tour again. So let's say if Contador wins the Vuelta, I think he'll say goodbye at that point. If he has a similar kind of experience again, then yeah, we'll see.
There was talk of wanting to say goodbye at the Giro d'Italia next year. We'll see how it goes. I know he has come to love the Italian public. He did have a bit of an up and down relationship with them, but in the last few years he's been to the Giro a couple of times. He's won it as well. I think he wants to go there and win a stage. He's never won a stage at the Giro, despite winning it twice.
There you go. Well, personally, I don't quite get the whole idea with stopping halfway through the season. If you commit to a season, you commit to a season, and
certainly when you're Spanish and you've got the Vuelta at the end of the season as well.
Yeah, it would make more sense to me to say farewell at the end of the Vuelta this year if he's going to do that, or race a complete season again.
Well, you can let us know what you think he's going to do. Any other comments, questions on Twitter? At Maggie_PR, at RobHatchTV, hashtag Home of Cycling for all your tweets, please. Now 25 seconds for the attacker. This is Pavel Bernas. The Kurek was swallowed in. Bernas out there. And they're approaching the end of this road, and this is a funny finish, isn't it? If it's going to all come back together here, and we are going to have some sort of a bunch sprint, because there's a very tight turn. What is it, just at around exactly a kilometre to go?
Yeah, it's perfectly 1 kilometre to go from the centre of that big roundabout, and like I said before, it's a pretty fast finish. And although it doesn't quite look like they're flying down there, they are travelling at some speed. So it's a difficult one to time, because as soon as you got that kilometre straight, it's very easy to open up your lead out too early, to open up your sprint too early, and you can never quite gauge exactly where you are. Obviously, you've got the banners on the side and the boards on saying there's 300 meters to go, but a lot of the time it's so easy to go. When you see that 250 meter to go sign, you open up your sprint, but you're still at 300 meters at that point and you run out of legs. So you've got to leave it very, very late and certainly try and find that perfect timing. And I think that's what Pete Sagan did so well yesterday.
Fourth category climb taken by Pavel Bernas, just 1 point on offer. Got one more fourth category climb to come, and that's at the pink arch that we saw on the first lap, and it's taken on the third and final lap. So with what, it'll be with around 15 kilometers to go. Meantime, Bora Hansgrohe racing in those black and white jerseys, green helmets. German team racing for their Slovakian star in Poland. Peter Sagan, of course, the world champion, the European champion. And of course, the European Championships are coming up next week. You can see them live on Eurosport, the road race on Sunday. Can Peter Sagan try to defend it? Will he try to defend it? We'll have to wait for the official announcement. Some of their squads are naming their teams. And the Belgium are sending a very strong team next week. And the race itself takes place in Denmark, in Herning.
Yes, and
where we saw the Giro d'Italia.
All Scandinavian championships this year, with the Worlds being in Bergen as well.
Yep, the Worlds are in Norway this year, in Bergen. Just about still the southwest of the country, isn't it?
Yeah.
Norwegian Riviera, some beautiful coastline around there.
Absolutely stunning country.
Bergen itself, known for its big drop-offs and the entrance into the fjords. Another of the... Talking about Poland being a place to visit, I think That area, that coastline from Bergen down to Stavanger, that is a place to visit if you ever get the chance.
Definitely.
Ruben Placer on the front. 34 kilometers to go. And chasing down the lone rider with 35 seconds. Pavel Bernas with 2 laps to go. Placer, the Spaniard, racing for Orica Scott. Won't be the only Spaniard there next year as well. We know that Carlos Verona is there. We also know that Mikel Nieve is leaving Team Sky and he's going to go to Orica Scott. He's signed for them and he's going to do quite a bit of mentoring of their young talent as well. So a good deal. I think it's a 2-year deal. And a very, very good Grand Tour racer, one of the best climbers in the world. Now at the service of the Yates brothers and Esteban Chavez. We're off for a quick break. Don't go away. We're approaching the final 25 kilometers now of stage 2 of the Tour of Poland. It's been a slow day today. 4 men in an early break. They had a maximum advantage of about 3.5 minutes. There were Jonas Hintola, the 25-year-old former national junior champion of Finland, riding for Team Novo Nordisk, who bring their changing diabetes message to the World Tour again. Adrian Kurek was there, the Polish national champion, as was Kamil Gradek, the Polish rider riding for the national team at this particular race, but of course registered with the British Continental Team 1 Pro Cycling. And Martin Keizer for the 2nd successive day, the Dutchman for Team Lotto NL Jumbo. Once the last bit of that break was brought back, this man attacked. And this man, Pavel Bernas, has been on the attack for about a lap so far. Still at the front, looking pretty tired, just 20 seconds.
Yeah, I think he's kind of given up his efforts. I think he was hoping to get someone with him or create a smaller group or maybe 5-6 riders to work with. And when you're on your own, it's virtually impossible to stay away from a group. Even if the peloton is trying to ride slow, they're still traveling at such a speed that it requires a massive effort as a lone rider to ride away from them. And certainly if you're looking to do so over the better part of 35 kilometers, then yeah, I think that attack didn't go quite as planned.
Well, here's this little rise on the road. Just 10 seconds now for Bernas, and the question is where the next attack's going to come from, because if there's going to be a situation, Magnus, where nobody attacks, then the pace needs to be higher, and the sprint teams, pardon me, need to take it up quickly.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, it's a difficult situation right now with 25 kilometers to go. It's almost too late to go for a real long move. But at the same time, if you get the right composition of riders, then it's definitely worth having a go at it. But I think also that there are too many sprinter teams here, too many big sprinters here who've got strong teams with them and they all want to control this. And I think especially with Caleb Ewan missing out yesterday, they desperately want this stage to come down to a finish. And with that, I think that there's been that kind of vibe within the peloton already that this is not going anywhere. Orica are going to bring it back, and it's certainly in Bora Hansgrohe's interest to keep it for a sprint as well with Peter Sagan. Although I think if there was a dangerous move going on this climb, Peter would certainly put himself in the mix of that.
Well, he's shown before he can certainly climb. He can get involved in different moves. He can win bike races in different ways. I think we missed him, didn't we, for the last 2 weeks of the Tour de France?
Yeah, we did.
Just 9 seconds for Pavel Bernas. We've already had our first jersey of the day decided. That'll be passed from one pole to another, and from one CCC Sprandi Polkowice rider to another. At the minute, the blue jersey, the most combative jersey, is on the back of Maciej Paterski. It's Adrian Kurek who picked up most points at the intermediate sprints to take that jersey for tomorrow. Martin Keizer has been in the King of the Mountains jersey until now. We have to see what happens towards the end of the day to see who's going to take that jersey. So this is what's happened behind. They're ready to catch him. Is there anybody else ready to attack? Movistar with the jersey on, shown on the left-hand side. They've been quiet over the opening couple of days. No sprinters here. Good team for the overall, though. Jorge Zaguirre, Dyer Quintana, Winner Anacona. Some top riders and not a bad support crew with Sutherland, Oliveira, Dowsett and Rojas.
Yeah, certainly a big lineup that is, and they're not alone here either. There's quite a few teams who brought some big players into it, and I mean we've only been talking about Caleb Ewan from Orica Scott, but we got Adam Yates here as well, and you know I think we're kind of almost looking at what's going to appear in the Vuelta there, I think.
BMC Racing team as well, and we're told by the team that they aren't riding for GC, but Dennis and Van Garderen are both here. The GC guys that they're at least going to start trying to win this race with. You never know what's going to happen over the course of the week, but Ben Hermans and Dylan Teuns, who won the Tour de Wallonie last week, the Tour of Wallonia in Belgium.
Yeah,
his
he
first
looked really
ever
good
stage
there
race
as well.
win.
Looked really strong.
Was it 2 stage wins? So Bernas is about to be caught, 23 kilometers to go. Now who's going to set the pace? A little look on from Pavel Brut on the left-hand side. He's laughing and joking.
Yeah, it certainly is. But this is the moment now where it's important for the bunch to pick up the speed quite quickly, not to open themselves up to all these attacks. And since they're indicating for that, bit of road furniture there. But yeah, I think they need to watch out for a big move, and we're going to get someone, looks like Cannondale coming up there as well, being ready to launch an attack, but decided against it.
Well, Pavel Brut in the navy blue jersey, left-hand side, centre left of the picture right now for Gazprom. On another day, in another career, earlier on in it, he might have been the man to attack. Big breakaway rider.
Definitely would have gone for an opportunity move there.
22.2 kilometers to go in Poland. It's a beautiful sunny day. Bike races taking a long time to get going today. I think even the riders out there will admit that, but I suppose when an easy break goes, we saw this at the Tour de France in the first few stages, there needs to be some reaction, and here is that reaction now.
Yeah, and I think it could be that the heat is playing a certain amount of havoc with the riders as well. It's not been overly hot the last couple of days, and all of a sudden you get in that sort of 6, 7, maybe even 8 degree temperature difference, and it does sort of knock the riders a little bit. The first day you get that heat, the second day they're usually fine, but that could be another reason as to why it's not been as fast racing. But also we had a 4-man break up the road early on, and looking at the flags, there's been quite a bit of wind about, and with that, if the wind has been in the wrong direction for those guys, then the breakaway are going to struggle to keep any significant pace in it, and it also means that the bunch are having to slow down. But that should mean that the last 20 kilometers or so, certainly the last 10 kilometers, should be even faster, because there's more fresh riders in the bunch who are ready to work and ready to hopefully attack and create an interesting final for us.
Well, we're 4 kilometers off the bell lap being taken, 4 kilometers away from the finish line, and then the final lap will start. We can just get our first glimpse there on the left-hand side, the white jersey of Caleb Ewan, the Australian sprinter for Orica Scott. This is Marco Coledan at the front now for Trek Segafredo, Italian rider riding for the team from the United States. We think that they will give it a go with Boy van Poppel today. He's the fastest man in the team.
I find it quite interesting that some of the sprinters are moving that far up in the bunch this early on in the race. Okay, early, we're talking 20 kilometers to go, but as a sprinter, you're always better to sit down in the sort of 20th to 30th position and wait there, and then have your team sitting around you somewhere where they can actually open up and create a gap to start moving up. And obviously the roads are wide enough here. It's not really a difficult job to get over to the right hand side of the road or the left hand side of your picture and start moving up. So you always find a better draft off the riders off the bunch when you're sitting a little bit further back.
Travelling at 60 kilometers per hour here as we see the Age de Zelle Mondial rider Christophe Riblon, Mr. Alpe d'Huez a few years ago. Sonderholst Enger, their fastest finisher, but they've got a very good team for the overall. Domenico Pozzovivo, Matteo Montaguti, François Bidard, Hubert Dupont, a couple of riders who've just come out of the Tour de France as well.
Yeah, they're back into racing very quickly, aren't they?
Pozzovivo headed to the Vuelta a España. Same could be said for Matteo Montaguti, who also rode the Giro. Pozzovivo said to have a couple of offers, not re-signed as of yet with Agility La Mondiale, who apparently want him to re-sign, but there's talk that he could go to Bahrain Merida, UAE Team Emirates. Some interesting offers on the table for the Italian, but I think if he were to take a couple of those offers up, he might well be to super domestic status, working for others rather than having his own chances.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It's always, I think if he went to UAE, he'd probably be better off than going to Bahrain Merida, because over there it's all for Nibali, and at certain points, yes, there might be a bigger contract on the table from one of those teams, but you got to look at what you have and what your ambitions are, and not always chase the dollar signs, because at the end of the day, if you might make a couple of bucks more going into a different team, but if you're not able to produce the results that you want to do, then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself actually losing out.
We're approaching the last lap. It's all together. All forms of breaks that have been out at some point during this stage 2 of the Tour of Poland have been reeled in. Pace isn't too quick at the minute, however. There's no real fight for position at the front. There's a lot of looking around, a lot of being wary of those in the peloton. The peloton that is 151 riders strong. We've lost 2 riders already in this race. Ruben Guerreiro yesterday, the Portuguese for Trek Segafredo, as well as Martin Verschoor from Team Novo Nordisk. Fumiyuki Beppu on the right-hand side, third wheel, just sitting behind Cesare Benedetti of Bora Hansgrohe. On the right-hand side, BMC moving a couple of riders up. That's Daniel Oss. If there's going to be an attacker, why not he? He had a go yesterday. Oh, questioning and asking about the intermediate sprint we saw before. Well, it was the last point in the intermediate sprint that was available. That's why Wout Poels took it ahead of the likes of Nibali and company. Well, that's the only general classification action we've had today. I think Sagan, with those 10 bonus seconds yesterday, leads at the moment.
I think this is a good opportunity and a good circuit for someone like Nicky Terpstra to have a go at the top of that climb, the final time up there now.
And it'd be a rare opportunity for Quick-Step to have that freedom in a stage race like this, because for once they haven't brought a sprinter, and that is very, very rare.
It's incredibly rare. They always have a sprinter with them to race, but at this point in time, I mean, it's a great opportunity for those guys to have a go and race freely and not having to worry about bringing the sprinter into the finish line. So I think, yeah, for Nicky Terpstra, this is a perfect setup, a perfect opportunity for him to have that go.
Well, the bell is about to ring. 17 kilometers to go. Almost 3 hours of racing now. And as it stands, we're going to have a sprint, but as Magnus has been suggesting, can somebody attack on one of the little lumps and bumps on this 17-kilometer circuit around the city of Katowice in southern Poland? The minute. Team Sunweb in the white and black on the left-hand side of the road. They're racing for Max Walscheid. He's the German sprinter.
Katusha up there as well, keeping Ilno Zakarin out of trouble. He would definitely be the go-to man in the general classification for Katusha, I think, this week.
Well, Zakarin and Spilak, let's not forget as well.
Yeah.
They've got a very strong team. Matej Mamikin, good fast finisher. Yeah. Alberto Losada, Kochetkov, who's a fast finisher as well. And Jose Gonçalves, who's just signed a new contract. So a happy camp.
Yeah, I think it is. It's definitely a happy camp. I think they could have probably, well, they were certainly hoping for a bit more coming out of the Tour de France. So I think that they got a bit to sort of catch up on, if you will.
Bora Hansgrohe is still at the front. 53 kilometers per hour now. They have a national champion in their ranks as well here. They have Gregor Mühlberger, who's the new Austrian champion. See him in the white jersey with a couple of red stripes on.
Just to kind of confuse it a bit more with the Polish
we haven't got
one.
enough red and white jerseys in this race, have we? For those of you tuning in a little late, we've got the Polish national team racing here, but we've also got Adrian Kurek, Polish national champion, racing for CCC Sprandi Polkowice in a jersey that looks very similar to the Polish national team.
And it's got the same sponsor, so the national team has got the same sponsor as their pro team, so there we go. But here we go, it's the first couple of attacks coming.
And it's of course the King of the Mountains points that are on offer as well up here. King of the Mountains points that are taken by the rider from
Aussies having a
Polish
go
national
now.
team, and this is Daniel Oss. And this is where the first real attack has come. We saw this yesterday from Daniel Oss. BMC racing without a sprinter here, and a chance for the man from the north of Italy, from Trentino, to get away. By the way, he's taking his bass guitar to this race. Saw him putting up some Instagram stories yesterday, playing away and annoying whoever he's rooming with. He's
Unless it's really good, then at which point it'd be quite nice, actually.
No, he's pretty good. I'm a bass guitar man myself, actually. Not a very good one. But no, he's been playing it away in the room. Maybe that's what's going through his head now. Good bass lines, he tries to get away. Because it's a big task to get away here for Daniel Oss. He's being followed by a rider from Dimension Data. BMC who've come here with Rowan Dennis, Floris Hertz, Ben Hermans, Samuel Sanchez, Dylan Turns and TJ Van Garderen. Oss there away, and decent gap.
Decent gap, and the Dimension Data rider there is finding himself in a rather awkward spot, because closing a gap on a rider like Danny Oss, who's trying to pull away from the peloton, that takes some doing. And when you get caught there on that sort of 30, 40, 50 meter gap and you can't close, it doesn't matter how hard you're trying, you're not edging any closer. It's a somewhat demoralizing sort of position to sit in.
Little look behind, Oss on one of his new bikes. Something else he was busily posting on social media the other day, a new bike day as well. I guess for the pros nowadays, it happens quite often, doesn't it, with all the new models coming out?
Well, it's not just the new models, it's a Grand Tour on the bike, and it's starting to feel different underneath you, and the moment it does that, then it's time to swap and then get onto something else. So obviously it almost seems like the bike manufacturers now are coming out with their bikes already in July, August for the sort of next year's models, and with that, of course, the pro guys here are going to be on those models straight away. They'll be the first ones to ride them.
.30-year-old Daniel Oss hasn't won a bike race since 2011. Stage 6 of the USA Pro Challenge. He's never won a bike race at World Tour level, and that is incredible for a man of such talent and a man who is always in the mix in the classics.
Yeah, he certainly is. I mean, he's a very, very strong rider, and actually what I like to call a super domestique. He's probably my definition of a super domestique, rather than should we call it a top-end GC rider who ends up riding for someone else. The tactical awareness and understanding of someone like Danny Oss in so many different areas as well as obviously the big engine that he has to pretty much ride any type of terrain and be competitive at that, and with that he's always there for a very, very long time in the races, and he's able to support his team in the best way possible. So yeah, in my book you're looking at a super domestique having a go off the front.
Well, he's ridden 8 Grand Tours in that position. Of course, in terms of classics, we said that he's been up there. He's been 5th in Gent-Wevelgem. He's been on the podium at the E3-Prijs in Harelbeke.
Yeah.
And he's got 12 kilometers until the finish line, but it's going to be so difficult to pull things out here, certainly without any company.
Yeah, it certainly will be. But then again, it only takes that bit of a moment when the sprinter teams now start having a look at each other. Now you take that, now you take it, and then all of a sudden it slows down a bit in the bunch, and the chase isn't really on anymore. But I don't know. Certainly Orica Scott yesterday got it wrong, and I think they're going to want to sort of preserve their energy a little bit more than they had. but I think at the same time it's more up to Bora Hansgrohe at this point with the yellow jersey there, and also with Peter Sagan able to sprint the way he does and freelancing his way into position to do his sprint. I think they're just gonna put whatever energy they can into it, and it's Cesare Benedetti who's on the front again.
He's getting quite a bit of motor pacing as well from that television motorbike. I have to say, for a 13-second gap then, there were 3 motorbikes in the gap. Seems an awful lot to me.
That's a lot. That is a lot. It's a difficult sort of, I don't know how we should put it really. We obviously want the images. The riders don't want the motorbikes there because there's obviously mixed up in the racing, but I don't know how we're going to solve that problem. In the moment there is a motorbike, the moment there is a tiniest bit of slipstream somewhere, we see the riders use it, whether it's another rider, or whether you know, that they're bridging across to, whether it's a motorbike, whether it's a team car, whether it's even the commissaires and the cars that you tend to use whatever you can off the back of them. So yeah, it's just the way that the guys are racing.
Daniel Oss in pain, teeth gritted. It's just 5 seconds now. Looks as though he's going to be caught. Bora Hansgrohe doing the bulk of the chasing. Benedetti against his good mate. In fact, he travelled over to Poland with Daniel Oss the other day on the flight from northern Italy. They're very good friends.
Oh, there we go.
So it's Benedetti chasing his old mate. It's just starting to get a little bit of help as well. A few other teams getting involved as we come towards the 10-kilometre to go banner. That's it. Oss is out of gas. Time for the next one to go as everybody looks around.
I certainly think so.
Championships.
First vision of Bob Jungels in this race on stage 2 of the Tour of Poland with 10 kilometres to go. He's got that Luxembourg National Champions jersey back, although he did lose the time trial jersey this year.
I think there was Tyler Farrar in there as well from Dimension Data looking after Nathan Haas, so they're obviously trying to keep Haas very much out of trouble and up near the front. I think they feel confident in Haas's ability to ride a GC at this race.
They took a bonus second with Nathan Haas yesterday as well, and that's 2 days running now. We've seen a bonus second snatched by a GC contender. Haas on day 1, Pouls on day 2. It's all about the sprint though now, and Lorenzo Mazin is being brought into position by Française des Jeux. Kevin Reza at the minute would be the man to lead him out. Mazin had a bit of a nightmare day yesterday, lost 5 minutes.
Ooh.
Obviously feeling better at the minute if Française des Jeux are committing resources to his cause. Katusha there with Spilak on the right hand side. On the left you can see Zakharin. And on the right hand side Manuel Eboiro is the man just looking around with the gold helmet on. Red and blue jersey, looking for Vincenzo Nibali, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. There was obviously until 3 kilometers to go. You got to make sure that you stay near the front and trying to stay away from any potential crashes. And as we got such a big and relatively fresh peloton here, those are the days when it tends to be more dangerous because everyone wants to get to the front. Everyone wants to be mixed up in the sprint. And obviously yesterday we had that big crash. It's a very big opportunity, or possibility I should probably say more, that we're having a similar sort of scenario today. As soon as you have those big drag straights and relatively wide as well, where people can move up, it tends to get very difficult to stay on your wheels, because the riders sort of, they make the move. As we've got another BMC rider.
This is the drag uphill that you were talking about, Magnus. And again, it looks like Daniel Oss.
It certainly
and
does.
it's Bob Jungels who's getting involved with him this time, and this could be dangerous. Daniel Oss is there. Again, another dig after a brief rest. Bob Jungels is following him, and Bob Jungels is a very, very dangerous customer if he's to get away. 2 of the top rouleurs in this bunch, and Bob Jungels, as well as being a rouleur time trialist, he can climb. 2nd year in succession, he's been the best rider, the best young rider at the Giro d'Italia.
Yeah, he certainly is a very, very talented bike rider, and a very diverse rider as well. He can ride the classics and he can ride the climbs, and certainly not a stranger to this kind of opportunities either.
Bob Jungels, a man who we'll be looking at for the general classification maybe at the end of the week as well. There's no time trial in this, so we'll have to see how he goes on the big climbs. Here it looks as though he's caught, but again, all of these attacks towards the end are forcing Bora Hansgrohe just to use up that extra man. And okay, we know that Peter Sagan can surf his own wheels, but they have to make it as difficult as possible for Sagan and his team to win this stage.
Yeah, I certainly think so. And a good thing for this sprint is that here goes Nathan Haas.
Haas with the attack then. Dimension Data with their man out on the front. And who's going to follow him? Sky behind have one rider there. Nathan Haas with 7 kilometers to go looks around again. How committed is he going to be here? Not so. He wanted company.
I think he wanted company, but the way he did that attack, going straight through some quite narrow gaps in the bunch, he was never going to get a rider to follow his wheels. But interesting to see there's enough teams there with GC aspirations who respond to that, so they clearly got respect for Nathan Haas.
Well, that's Bert-Jan Lindemann, who was desperately trying to get across to Nathan Haas. As Haas looked around, there was a little bit of hesitation when they didn't quite catch him, so he settled down and continued to ride. Here is Haas again. He doesn't quite have the gap he wants, but starts to commit himself once more. Can somebody get across? Lindemann wasn't able to do so.
No, this is the difficult drag up here now, where I would say this is the best part and the best springboard to go for an attack. But Haas sitting up there, he's not quite getting the gap and doesn't really want to commit too much power to it either.
Peter Sagan waits with 6 kilometers to go. We've had attacks from Os, we've had an attack from Haas. Bob Jungels has been involved as well, but at the moment nothing is able to stay clear. Gazprom Rossfellow doing a very good job here. 127 at the back is Giovanni Visconti. He's racing for Bahrain Merida, the team that's led by Vincenzo Nibali, but that does have a sprint opportunity with Niccolò Bonifacio. Can Peter Sagan win again? Will it be Caleb Ewan or an other? There are plenty of challenges in this peloton. You can just see Ewan on the left-hand side moving up. He's alongside Max Falscheid, the big German sprinter who had a really good end to last season after being involved in that awful training accident at the start of the year. Sagan is there in the yellow jersey. He's the leader of the Tour of Poland going towards the end of this second stage. UAE Team Emirates, remember Sacha Modolo and Roberto Ferrari they have. It was Ferrari who was their best finisher yesterday, but there was also a big crash towards the end. But all eyes on this man, Peter Sagan. Gone are the long locks, gone's the film star look. He's gone for a battle-ready skinhead look.
Yeah, it certainly has.
5 kilometers to go. And it really is pulling on at the front now. On that long straight that's going to lead us with just about a kilometre to go into that roundabout, that 180-degree turn.
Again, interesting that Caleb Ewan is right up there on third wheel already with 5 kilometres to go. I really don't think that is the best place for him to be.
And Luka Mezget's already his lead-out man, already in second position.
Yeah.
Interesting to see how they're going to play that.
Yeah, they need to get other teams and riders around them to help out with the pacemaking. And here comes Astana.
And they're looking for Riccardo Minali. Still looking for his first serious professional win since turning pro at the start of the year. Of course, from very good cycling stock, and he had some decent results in his first professional races, the likes of Dubai Tour early on, when he was against some of the top sprinters in the world. He certainly has the speed, Minali. He's got some experienced men to pilot him in position as well, likes of Luis Leon Sanchez and Oscar Gatto. Movement for Quick Step on the left-hand side. They're really pulling things along here.
Price's bike very, very similar to his dad.
Quick Step, the whole train at the front. Davide Martinelli's a decent finisher, but of course he's not one of the big sprinters. Neither is Remy Cavagna, who's a young French time trialist. Niki Terpstra, we all know what he can do. Bakoc, good, but you wouldn't expect him to beat the likes of Sagan and Ewan in a sprint. Same with Max Schachmann. It's an interesting tactic for them to go to the front. I wonder what they're planning here.
Well, it could be. So if I wanted to have an attack launched, I would probably go to get a couple of riders to the front, bring the pace up so high for a short period of time, so that everyone is struggling to sort of stay on the wheels and having to work really hard in the wheels, and then just basically stop it and hope that your rider that is looking for that move then is in a good position and can carry that speed on and counter-attack basically on the team's pace setting.
A little look round from Nicky Terpstra, who's setting that pace on the front. There it goes. 2.7 kilometers to go. Katowice, our destination on stage 2 of the Tour of Poland. Max Schachmann is up there for Quick Step at about 7th wheel. It's now Luka Mezgec, already the Slovenian champion, riding for Orica Scotland. Look who's on his wheel. Still 2.4 kilometers to go here. And what happens? And there's the move. There is the move from Quick Step. And it looks as though it's Vakoc.
Yeah, it certainly looks like him.
Peter Vakoc, the former Czech champion, out there attacking, having a go. Nicky Terpstra set him up a minute ago.
2 kilometers to go, so we got this one long straight up here now, it falls flat uphill and then come around the roundabout, and there's a kilometer to go down to the finish line then. So Vakoc is really going to have to work hard, especially at this part here now. This is where he'll make or break this this attack, and if he can cause the riders in the bunch behind to sort of go, well, oh, this is costing me too much energy to bring this. But Caleb Ewan on the front there already now, with Mezgec trying to sort of encourage other riders to come through and do the work.
It's Patetsky who might be about to save the sprinter's day, because Patetsky's trying to come across here. He's in the dark blue jersey. He's bringing a rider with him from Lotto Soudal. Remember, they have Jens de Bussere, also a rider hanging around there for Dimension Data. It's getting very messy as a real lack of control, just like there was yesterday.
Yeah, very much a lack of control. And this is what I said with the 7-man teams. That one extra rider makes such a big difference. And this is certainly a very interesting finish. And Nathan Haas is up there again, very close to the front. Is he going to have a go in the sprint? 3
Sky riders up there as they approach the final kilometre. Sky, remember, riding for Danny van Poppel, the rider from the Netherlands here. Here is that roundabout. Vakoc looks as though he's about to be caught. 1 kilometre to go. Vakoc being chased down. Sky already with Van Poppel behind. But what is the damage that's been done to Peter Sagan? He's way down in about 15th position. Has to move up here. Has 900 metres to do so. Should be okay if he can make his position. Vakoc is caught then. Sky have 4 men in the lead out here, all ready to do their job for Danny van Poppel. Reguigui on the left-hand side is there, the Algerian champion for Dimension Data. Just behind him, Roberto Ferrari. Rui Costa's up there on the right-hand side as well. Van Poppel on the right. You can see that there's a man for Cannondale Drapac involved as well. 500 metres to go now. Katusha trying to lead this one out too. It's a very messy, very different sprint to the one we thought we might see. Peter Sagan still caught out on the left-hand side. He's trying to move up through that gap on the right. I'm not sure there is one though, and I think that Sagan might be boxed out here. It's Volscheid on the left-hand side, but look at this Model going through the centre. Model on Alpha UAE. Model all the way. I think Model might have this. It is Sasha Model. Model for UAE Team Emirates in what was an almightily messy sprint. Sagan boxed out. Model takes it, and it was a big, big win for a man who hasn't won for quite a while on the World Tour.
Yeah, well, that was very much a sort of have your luck on your side and get through, find that gap, and I think, yeah, Modelo did that very, very well, and he tends to be a man who goes well in the sort of messier sprints. It's very similar to what I've seen in the last few years that we've had this finish, when there's been a bunch sprint. By the time you get into that top roundabout, you need to be in the sort of 5th or 6th wheel already up there, and then you got opportunities to sort of move left to right. By the time you're down into 10th wheel, there is no way of coming back from there. You boxed in because of how fast this sprint is. Everyone was basically flat out from about 600 to 700 meters to go, and there was just no more speed in it.
Well, Ferrari had been up there, his teammate Rui Costa was there as well, and that is Sacha Modolo's 4th win of the season, his first on the World Tour for over 2 whole years. victory for UAE Team Emirates. There were riders all over the road here. Sagan was boxed out. Ricky Key tried to go with him. Ferrari stayed on the right-hand side. Modolo hit the win on the left. He's up against riders from Trek Segafredo and Team Sunweb. But Modolo didn't really have any competition, despite the fact that Van Poppel was gaining all the time. Van Poppel did enough for second place there, and I think it's Valsheid who finishes in third. Boy Van Poppel through the centre. Danny finishing in second place. So, delightful UAE Team Emirates. A 45th win in the career of Sasha Modolo. His first at this level since the Giro d'Italia 2015. So it's Modolo, Van Poppel and Valsheid. Van Poppel 4th, Reguigui 5th, Van Arsbroek, Bonifacio, Sagan in 8th, Vinali down in 9th, Nathan Haas in 10th. The only question now is, does Sagan hold on to the jersey or not? We'll have to see. Danny Van Poppel is indeed the new leader. Peter Sagan in second place on tied time. Sasha Modolo also tied for time in third. Caleb Ewan is in fourth. Max Valsheid in fifth with Gradek and Haas, alongside Pools with their bonus seconds as well. Bonifacio and Boy Van Poppel in 10th. Sky's Danny Van Poppel, despite missing out again, is the new leader of the Tour of Poland.